Christine, I'll get your thoughts in a moment because I know you've been reflecting on this today. But Peter Credlin, what do you think? Both Malcolm Turnbull and Bill Shorten were in Sydney. They were campaigning at a mattress factory and the fish markets. Should they have been there at Richmond RAF base?
I think it's a pretty ordinary look when they're both in Sydney and not to have been there, particularly when I saw as the cortege pulled away down the streets of Sydney, there were just ordinary people out there in the middle of the day wanting to pay their respects. And the day before the campaign started, my uncle and his family were in Canberra for a private family service at the War Memorial. Their brother was dead at 19 as a conscript in Vietnam. So 35 of them travelled up from country Victoria. This is the day before the election started a couple of weeks ago. You know, it's a really tough issue in many families. Lots of family members are still alive. It was one of the most divisive times in our military and political history.
Well, it's hard to think of a more politically polarising deployment than Vietnam.
Yeah, I mean, the point that Tony Abbott made when he made the decision to offer repatriation, and you can see overwhelmingly it was something the families took up, was a way to unite Australia, particularly ahead of the anniversary of Long Tan. And I think for a lot of Vietnam vets, it's been a long time coming for them to feel that the community and their politicians from all sides had stood with them. Because after all, governments and politicians send troops in harm's way, and I think it's a very good signal to send that the politicians are there when the bodies come home, as inevitably and sadly they do. I
mean, Christina, other politicians were there, but do you think for those who did turn out today, be they family members of those who were repatriated, or indeed family members and friends of others who fought and died in Vietnam, would it have made a difference to them, do you think, to see both the PM and opposition leader there?
Absolutely it would have, David. I mean, you can't imagine any greater sacrifice than people laying down their lives for this nation. And as Peter Credlin says, the only people who send people into war are politicians, are the heads of state, are the heads of our government. And for them not to be there today, as 33 people come back, repatriated their remains to this country, was remarkably an opportunity just missed to pay respect to that sacrifice. And I note today, too, that it's not just about whether or not they were there. We've also seen this afternoon the Vietnam Veterans Association of Australia come out and make the point that they found the use of war analogy language in today's political debate offensive to what was going on today. And they found that it really was inappropriate at best, but offensive at worst, to have these remains coming home and being faced with that type of language in the middle of a vitriolic political campaign.